"Sir, those look like something from a costume shop. You can't seriously expect a discount for fake medals, can you?" The young store clerk scoffed, peering skeptically at the miniature ribbon bar pinned inside Master Sergeant John Mac McMillan's old leather vest. Mac, 74, his hand resting on his cane, felt a familiar weariness. "They're not fake, son. They represent a lifetime of service." The clerk just smirked. "Right. Full price then." 8 minutes later, as Mac quietly sipped the water he'd bought instead of the discounted coffee, the store's automatic doors slid shut with a decisive thud, then locked. A tall, powerfully built man in civilian clothes, radiating absolute command, stood by the entrance, his eyes scanning the store. If you believe true honor is self-evident, not up for debate, type "respect" below. Master Sergeant John Mac McMillan, U.S. Army Special Forces Reiterator, carried his years with the quiet resilience of a man who'd navigated far more treacherous landscapes than the polished aisles of the Urban Pantry, an upscale downtown grocery store. At 74, his movements were deliberate, aided by a sturdy oak cane, necessitated by an old training injury that never fully healed. His deeply lined face held eyes that had seen humanity's best and worst, yet still sparkled with keen observation and dry humor. He lived simply, a small rented room, a carefully managed pension, his days filled with long walks, reading, and volunteering at a local youth center, imparting the discipline and integrity honed over 30 years of unconventional warfare. He rarely spoke of his past. His exploits and sacrifices remained confined to memory, and to the small, discreetly pinned miniature ribbon bar inside his favorite worn leather vest, a green beret flash, a combat infantryman badge, bronze stars, a purple heart. They weren't for display but a personal touchstone. Today Mac had ventured into the Urban Pantry, usually beyond his budget, because of a flyer advertising a Hometown Heroes discount, 15% off for veterans, seniors, and first responders during their anniversary week. He just wanted a decent cup of coffee and maybe a fresh pastry, a small treat. He approached the gleaming counter, selected a coffee and croissant, and prepared to pay. The clerk, Alex, barely out of his teens, radiated bored indifference, as if the job were beneath him. His smirk tugged at the corners of his lips as Mac reached the counter. "Good morning," Mac said. "I believe you have a Hometown Heroes discount this week." He unbuttoned his vest slightly, revealing the small, colorful array of miniature ribbons. "I'm a veteran." Alex glanced at the ribbons, then at Mac's worn vest and simple attire. "Hometown Heroes, huh?" he drawled, ignoring the VA ID Mac had started to pull out. "What are those? Your collection of Boy Scout badges?" Mac's hand stilled. "These are my service medals, young man, from the U.S. Army." Alex snorted. "Oh, sure they are. Look, Grandpa, we get all sorts trying to score a freebie. Those things look like you bought 'em online, probably from a costume shop. You can't seriously expect a discount for fake medals, can you?" The casual dismissal, the public accusation of deceit, hit Mac like a physical blow. He wasn't used to defending his honor, certainly not to a child who hadn't been born when Mac earned those fake medals in blood and sacrifice. "They are not fake, son," Mac repeated, his voice low and steady, a dangerous quietness creeping in. "They represent a lifetime of service to this country. Perhaps you should learn to recognize them." Alex rolled his eyes. "Yeah, whatever you say. Look, the discount's for actual veterans with verifiable ID, not guys with shiny pins trying. To save $1 on a latte. Full price, $7.25. He tapped impatiently on his screen. Mac stood there, the clerk's sneering face blurring slightly as cold anger rose within him. He could feel the eyes of other customers, some embarrassed, others impatient. The store manager was nowhere in sight. Arguing would be pointless. But walking away, letting this desecration of his service stand, felt like a betrayal of every man and woman who'd ever worn those ribbons with pride. He made a decision. Slowly, he reached into his pocket, but instead of his wallet, he pulled out his old basic cell phone. He placed the coffee and croissant back on the counter. "I'll just have a bottle of water, please," he said quietly. Alex smirked again, rang up the water for $2.50, and took Mac's money with a flourish. Macca took the water and moved to a seating area near the entrance, ostensibly to drink, but his focus was on his phone. He scrolled to a single unlabeled number, a direct line to a man who'd once been a young lieutenant under his command in a very dangerous, very unofficial part of the world. That lieutenant was now Rear Admiral Michael "Iron Mike" Corian, a Spabadai, senior commander in Naval Special Warfare Command. A SEAL. Mac wasn't even sure the number still worked. He pressed dial. It connected on the second ring. "Corian." A clipped, no-nonsense voice. "Mike." "It's Mac. John McMillan." A beat of silence. Then the voice warmed, though it retained its edge of command. "Mac? Sergeant Major? Hell, it's been too long. Everything all right?" "You sound off." Mac recounted the incident at the Urban Pantry, the discount, the mockery, the accusation. Of fake medals, the Urban Pantry. "Corner of Elman and Main, downtown," he finished. "Just thought you should know how some establishments are honoring veterans these days." "Location confirmed," Corian said, his voice now like chipped ice. "Don't leave the premises. I'm currently in a motorcade 10 blocks from Elman and Main, heading to a city planning meeting. My route's about to change. Sit tight. This requires direct personal follow-up." The line went dead. Mac sipped his water, grim satisfaction settling. He knew, Iron Mike Corian. When Corian promised direct personal follow-up, things happened very quickly and with undeniable impact. Less than 8 minutes later, the upscale calm of the Urban Pantry shattered. The automatic doors hissed shut with a thud, then locked. The emergency exits were blocked by 2 large, impassive men in dark civilian clothes. Shoppers and staff froze, confused. Was this a power outage? A security drill? Alex, still smirking behind the register, had just finished regaling a coworker with his tale of shutting down the old faker with the fake medals. Then the front doors were manually pulled open, just enough for one man to step inside. Rear Admiral Michael "Iron Mike" Corian, tall, powerful, dressed in civilian clothes that couldn't conceal his coiled energy or the aura of absolute command. His storm-gray eyes swept the store, locking onto Mac. He strode directly to his former sergeant major, ignoring Alex. "Mac," Corian said, clasping his shoulder firmly. "Good to see you. Sorry about the delay. Had to secure the perimeter." Then he turned to Alex, who was now slack-jawed, vaguely recognizing the aura of authority. "You," Corian said, his voice dropping to a dangerous quiet, pointing a steel-like finger at the clerk, "the one who thinks service medals are costume. Jewelry, step away from that register. Now." Alex stumbled back. The store manager, Ms. Periwinkle, rushed forward. "Excuse me, sir. Who are you? What's going on? Why are my doors locked?" "Madam," Corian said, his eyes never leaving Alex, "I am Rear Admiral Michael Corian, United States Navy. And what's going on is that your employee has grievously insulted a highly decorated combat veteran, a man to whom this nation owes an unpayable debt. This store is now under temporary operational review." Ms. Periwinkle looked ready to faint. Corian took the store's PA microphone. His voice boomed through the speakers. "Attention, Urban Pantry shoppers and staff. This is Rear Admiral Corian. Due to a severe incident of disrespect shown to a decorated U.S. military veteran by an employee, this store is temporarily ceasing all operations." He paused, letting the shock sink in. The employee in question, Alex, publicly mocked this veteran's service medals, calling them fake and costume jewelry. "Let me be clear. Those fake medals include the Silver Star for gallantry, multiple Bronze Stars for valor, and the Purple Heart for wounds received in combat, defending the freedoms you all enjoy." He locked eyes with Alex. "These are not trinkets. Son, they are forged in blood, sacrifice, and unimaginable courage. They are symbols of a commitment you clearly cannot comprehend. Then, to the manager, Ms. Periwinkle, you will ensure Alex is placed on immediate unpaid leave pending termination. You will issue a public apology to Master Sergeant Macmillan and all veterans. You will implement mandatory training for all staff on respecting veterans. My office will provide the curriculum. And you will make a substantial donation to the Green Beret Foundation in Mac's name. The amount will be discussed privately. He clicked off the microphone. The store was silent, save for Alex's quiet whimper. Corian turned back to Mac, his expression softening. Mac, my team outside will escort you wherever you need to go. And you'll get that coffee and anything else you damn well please from this store. On the house. For life. Understood? Ms. Periwinkle nodded numbly. Corian personally unlocked the doors, not for the public, but for Mac and his new escort. Two stone-faced men who looked capable of dismantling the store bare-handed. The aftermath. Alex was fired. The Urban Pantry issued a humiliating public apology. Six-figure donation was made to the Green Beret Foundation. Mandatory veteran respect training was implemented chain-wide. Mac received free coffee for life, served with extreme courtesy. The story became legend, a SEAL admiral locking down a grocery store to defend his old sergeant major, a reminder that some bonds never break, and some lines never should be crossed. For Mac, it wasn't about a discount. It was about dignity, about ensuring the symbols of service are treated with reverence, not the contempt of ignorance, and it proved that when one of their own is disrespected, the Brotherhood, whether Army Green Beret or Navy SEAL, responds, sometimes with locked doors, always with undeniable truth, because some medals aren't just metal and ribbon, they're a nation's promise. And that promise must be honored. Subscribe to Hidden Sparks. If you believe our heroes' sacrifices should never be questioned, and that disrespect will always meet its match.